My name is Brett Clay, though lately I've been going by Violet Hall. I'm just your average 18-year-old high school senior. Well, average, if you consider being a complete comic book nerd who spends most of his time alone in his room with manga, anime, and video games. Average. I'm not exactly what you'd call popular. My social circle consists mainly of online gaming friends I've never met in person. That's just how I like it. Or at least that's what I tell myself. My life changed during a particularly awful 4th of July family dinner. My cousin Eleanor, a gorgeous 20-year-old college student with stylish brown hair and the kind of effortless beauty that came from good genetics and expensive skincare, spent the entire evening making fun of my childish interests. "Still playing with your little action figures, Brett?" she'd asked loudly enough for everyone to hear. "When are you going to grow up and get a real hobby? Maybe even talk to an actual girl?" Everyone laughed. I just stared at my plate and waited for it to be over. Eleanor had always been like this. Beautiful, popular, and completely mean to me. The perfect opposite to my existence. That night, frustrated and angry, I logged into my favorite game, Fall of Duties, to blow off some steam. Usually, I play with random teammates without much interaction beyond basic strategy. But this time was different. The matchmaking system paired me with someone whose username was Game Changer Girl. Her voice through the headset was distinctly female, something rare in this particular game. We played exceptionally well together, defeating opponents with surprising ease. After several matches, she sent me a private message. "You seem like you could use a change in your life. I can help with that." "What do you mean?" I typed back. "I have something that could transform your entire existence. All you need to do is trust me with your address." I hesitated. Sharing personal information with strangers online is exactly what they warn you against in all those internet safety presentations. But what did I have to lose? No one would target me for anything. I wasn't important enough. I sent her my address and promptly forgot about it until a small package arrived 3 days later. I quickly took it to my room before anyone could ask questions. Inside was a simple pendant with a strange unmarked stone and a handwritten note. "Use it well, not for revenge, but to find joy. P.S. You need an article of clothing to use as source." At first I thought it was a joke. What was this supposed to do? As I examined the pendant more closely, it suddenly emitted pink and blue flares of light that danced across my ceiling. Curious and confused, I went to our laundry room looking for, what exactly? Some article of clothing, as the note suggested? The only items there were my 27-year-old sister Lauren's dirty laundry. I picked up one of her shirts, holding it in one hand and the pendant in the other. As I stood there wondering what to do, I found myself thinking about Lauren. What would it be like to be her? The pendant suddenly grew warm in my palm, and before I could drop it, the sensation spread up my arm and throughout my entire body. I watched in horror and fascination as my body began to change. My chest expanded painfully, creating 2 prominent bulges. My waist narrowed while my hips widened. My hair lengthened, tickling my shoulders. And most disturbingly, I felt a peculiar retraction sensation down under as my familiar appendage seemed to pull inward, leaving a strange emptiness in its place.
When the transformation finished, I stood there gasping, looking down at a body that wasn't mine. I was Lauren, or at least I looked exactly like her. But I was still wearing my own clothes, which now fit all wrong. The shirt stretched awkwardly across my new chest, and my jeans hung loosely around my smaller waist. Then I heard the front door open and my mom's voice calling out. Panic seized me. I had no idea how to reverse this transformation, and I couldn't let anyone see me like this. In desperation, I quickly stripped off my clothes and grabbed some of Lauren's from the laundry pile. A mismatched bra and panties that she'd already worn, gross but necessary, her shirt that I'd been holding, and a pair of cotton shorts from the pile. Pulling on someone else's used underwear was easily the most disgusting thing I'd ever done. But as I put them on this body, they felt strangely appropriate, like they belonged. I had just finished dressing when Mom walked into the laundry room. "Oh, Lauren, you doing laundry?" she asked casually. No, Mom, I just took them here and I will wash them later. I need to talk to Brett. I go to his room for now." I snatched up my discarded clothes and hurried past her before she could notice anything off about Lauren. Once safely in my room, I clutched my own shirt and concentrated on being myself again. The pendant glowed once more, and gradually I transformed back into Brett. I collapsed onto my bed, heart racing, mind reeling with possibilities. If this pendant could turn me into Lauren using just her shirt, what else could it do? The next family dinner was at Eleanor's house. Throughout the meal, I barely registered her usual taunts. I had a mission. At the first opportunity, I slipped away from the table and snuck into her bedroom. There, I quickly rummaged through her drawers until I found what I was looking for: a pair of black lace panties. I stuffed them into my pocket and returned to dinner, struggling to contain my excitement. That night, alone in my room, I held Eleanor's underwear in one hand and the pendant in the other. I focused on her image in my mind and soon felt the now familiar warmth spreading through me. The transformation was similar to before, but with subtle differences. Where Lauren's body was mature and womanly, Eleanor's was younger, firmer, with slightly larger dual controllers and a narrower waist. I know this might sound a bit weird to describe, but I don't want to get too graphic, so I'll use some video game terms to make it easier, if you know what I mean. Once the transformation was complete, I slowly removed my clothes to look at Eleanor's body completely naked in my bedroom mirror. The shock was immediate and overwhelming. The dual controllers on my chest were perfectly shaped and responsive, with small pink sensitivity buttons that reacted to the cool air of my room. The game console down under was an entirely new interface that I both feared and was fascinated by. The complete absence of my familiar joystick and power cells left me feeling vulnerable, yet somehow lighter. I turned slowly, examining every angle of this new form, still unable to fully process that this was temporarily me. The skin was softer, the proportions completely different. Even the way I had to stand felt alien. I had seen female bodies before, of course, in magazines and videos, but experiencing one from the inside was entirely different.
I stood in front of my mirror, admiring my new form. Eleanor was undeniably beautiful, with shoulder-length brown hair, warm chocolate eyes, and a figure that turned heads everywhere she went. And now, that figure was mine to control. Over the next few weeks, I spent more and more time as Eleanor. I ordered a collection of cosplay outfits online, carefully selecting ones that would showcase her, or rather, my new assets. When the package finally arrived, I rushed to my room, transformed, and began trying everything on. I tried on outfit after outfit, marveling at how the fabrics felt different against this new skin. A blue and white Android 18 costume hugged my curves in ways my male body could never have filled out. The red spandex Mrs. Incredible suit stretched perfectly across my new rear and chest, accentuating every curve. A skin-tight Spider-Man outfit showed off my newly feminine physique while still looking heroic. And finally, a daring Akame costume that revealed more skin than it covered, with strategic panels of black fabric barely containing my dual controllers. With each costume change, I became more comfortable in Eleanor's body. The way I moved, posed, even breathed felt increasingly natural. I created an online persona, Violet Hall, 20-year-old cosplayer extraordinaire. I set up social media accounts, posted a few teaser photos, and waited. Comic-Con arrived, and with it, my debut as Violet. Day one, I went as Android 18. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. People wanted photos with me, complimented my accurate portrayal, and asked where I'd been hiding in the cosplay community. Day two, as Mrs. Incredible, brought even more attention, with several photographers asking for my information for their portfolios. By day three, in my Spider-Man outfit, I had amassed a small following. People recognized Violet from the previous days and sought me out specifically. And on day 4, my risque Akame costume nearly caused a riot at the convention. A professional photographer approached me about a special photo shoot, handing me his business card and mentioning significant compensation for my time. Throughout it all, I was struck by how differently people treated me as Violet compared to Brett. Doors were held open, smiles were freely given, conversations were initiated by strangers eager to know more about me. As Brett, I was invisible. As Violet, I was the center of attention. But it wasn't just the external differences that fascinated me. It was how I felt inside this body. The weight on my chest that initially felt foreign now seemed normal. The absence down under no longer disturbed me. The sway in my walk came naturally. Even my gestures had changed, becoming more fluid and expressive. At night, alone in my room, I found myself marveling at how different it felt just to exist in this body. The way I sat, the way I walked, even the way I slept was different. I'd catch myself making gestures that Brett never would have made, tilting my head in ways that felt surprisingly natural in Eleanor's form. As the convention came to a close, I found myself reluctant to transform back into Brett. Violet had opportunities and experiences that Brett could never have. People liked Violet. They wanted to be around her, to know her better. The fateful encounter with the professional photographer on the final day had been particularly eye-opening. When he handed me his business card and mentioned significant compensation for a private photo shoot, I realized this wasn't just about cosplaying anymore. This could become a genuine career path that I'd never imagined possible. As I packed up my costumes and prepared to head home, I caught my reflection in a convention hall mirror. Violet Hall, cosplay sensation, someone people recognized, someone people wanted to know. Not invisible Brett, the comic book nerd, but someone who mattered in this world. I couldn't help but wonder, what would I do next? Return to being invisible Brett? Or continue exploring life as Violet? The pendant weighed heavily in my pocket, its power now feeling less like a novelty and more like an opportunity. A door to a different kind of existence, one where I wasn't just the comic book geek, but someone people actually saw. I think I'm just getting started.